The next step is to union together all of this. I'm going to select each part and delete its history. So edit delete by type history, this button, and then just click the G key to repeat that across the character. Selecting a part, select another part, go to Mesh, Booleans, Union, let's do the panel, and click on Apply. And already it just failed. Let's do normals, and it failed. If this happens, which it does happen, sometimes you get away with it, we'll do this in Blender. File, export selection, going to export it as just its name as FBX, and then I'm going to launch Blender. Here we are in Blender, just creating a new general scene, selecting this cube, deleting this cube, and then import your object, File, Import FBX, and locate it within your Scenes folder, and import the FBX. Now it might be small, you can press the S key and drag the mouse. There we go. To zoom into this character, press the period key on the keyboard. Let's go over some viewport basics. Middle mouse button will orbit. Shift middle mouse button will pan. And control middle mouse button will zoom in and zoom out. You also could use the wheelie mouse. I'm here because Boolean function failed me in Maya. If it worked for you, excellent. Continue using it there. There's a way to go around any problems you might have. I'm going to select the foot, go to the modifiers properties, add modifier, and I'll select Boolean. I'll use the object picker to pick the lower leg. I have the foot selected, lower leg. Union is a type of Boolean, and then click apply. I'll now select the upper leg, and I'll delete that part. Selecting the foot and lower leg system, add modifier, Boolean, object pick, upper leg, union, apply, and now select the upper leg, delete. I'll do it for the other side, and this is the pattern, and we'll be through it pretty quickly. There's the rhythm, and you just keep on going. And once you're done, save the Blender file and also export this. File, save as. Now, exporting it just so you can work on it in Maya. File, export, export FBX. I have my object selected, so I'll select selected objects, .fbx, export FBX. Before I go back to Maya, I could do some basic sculpting to correct some of the mistakes here, some of the imperfections, and then we could come back and sculpt some more. Going to sculpt mode, pressing Shift Spacebar, but even before I do that, Shift Spacebar pulls up your tools. You can see that the line of symmetry is off. To correct that, go to Edit mode, select a vertex that's along the line of symmetry, and I find one. I'm going to pick this one. Press Shift S and select from the 6 o'clock position, cursor to selected. Go to the object mode, go to the object menu, and select Set Origin, and you're going to pick Origin to 3D Cursor. This way, when we're in sculpt mode, you'll see that the brush will glide across the surface at that line of symmetry. That's because mirror brush across the X is checked. Right up there. If you have other lines of symmetry, try Y and Z and see if that works for you. I want to pick up the smooth brush, which is right here, or I could press Shift Spacebar and pick smooth from here. Press the F key to then drag right and left the size of the brush, and then press Shift F to decrease or increase the strength of the brush. I'm interested in just smoothing out areas like here. Maybe my brush is a little too strong. Shift F, a little lighter on the touch. I have to do a few more passes on it. I'm not trying to destroy the model. I'm just trying to smooth it out. And we'll come back after we retopolize it and do the same thing. See that because we put together parts and then union them together, we get some nice natural occurrences like the folding here. And the same will be at the elbow where the hand is. We could smooth out this area. This is just a quick pass. Smooth out the areas. Blend in some vertices that might be sticking up. Doesn't it feel good to get your model that was made out of pieces looking as a whole, giving us potential to sculpt or just to build clothing and other objects around it, like accessories? And then we come back and focus in on sculpting to define the facial features or any other body parts like the arms and fingers that need retouching. Going under viewport display, I'm going to try. You can see that the mesh isn't completely distributed nicely. Like around here, I would like more vertices. And here, we can manually do this by using a multi-cut tool or refining a surface. Overall, it's going to be approached by using retopolization of this mesh. I'm going to save this version. Let me select it. I'm going back to object mode. The object is selected. File, export, export FBX. I'm just going to increment up the file names. I'm going to import the model. File, import. Need to scale this down. Let me go to 4 views just to position it. A little lower, a little smaller. And this could be good enough to work with. The only reason I'm doing anything is because I want more uniformed vertices, like this side doesn't match that side. But there's nothing wrong with, as long as this works for you, nothing wrong with using it. Going to edit delete by type history and freeze this object. That button and that button. I'm going to retopolize this to make this a little more even. Going under mesh, retopolize, open up the panel. I'm going to select 3000. It's close to what it is currently, faces 3000. That looks fine. I'm concerned about the fingers, making sure the fingers kind of look this way. I know they'll distort a little bit. Just want it kind of that way. So I'm targeting close to the original number. Clicking apply. And that's it. Done. Now the mesh isn't symmetrical, but it's close. And probably good enough to do everything we need to with this. If you want this to be a symmetrical mesh, let me first, and always first, edit delete by type history, because anything that we do will have that retopolization applied, and you will hate me and will hate your model for torturing you going through retopolization when you do everything. I'm going to duplicate this one, just push it aside. I'm going to do mesh mirror. Now mesh mirror might end up a little weird around the leg area. You can use the sculpt tool to push to the left and right, the inside of the leg, to add a little more space. And I'm going to do this by using just a regular selection here and the move tool just to move out those vertices. I could correct this a little later on. Go into the object level. I'm going to apply mesh mirror. Open up the panel. And I'm going to click Apply. Now, I don't want it across the positive. I want it across the negative. And then spread out the character just a little bit. Just like that. And when you're done mirroring, just edit delete by type history. Now, areas like this, you could keep or you could weld them together. I'm going to weld them together by merging these vertices, selecting these vertices, and pick up the Move tool just to make sure it's centered within there. If you did a marquee selection, you might accidentally, like I did, select vertices on the other side. You can deselect these vertices, or it's just a little easier sometimes to rotate for a better vantage point, or just hold down the Shift key and just click out those 3 vertices. And then you rotate to make sure the manipulator's in the center, which it is. Going under Edit Mesh, Merge, and then move on to the next one if they all snap together. Selecting these 3, Move tool to make sure everything's in the center, and it is. G key to repeat the last command, which is Edit Mesh Merge. If the points don't snap together, just increase the threshold. And in a minute or two, you'll be done. Move tool. And see, there's a point that didn't belong. G key. Move tool. And I'm just going to select them by shift clicking. G key. Increase the threshold. Do the same with these 3. G key. And then fix any stray seams. We now create a symmetrical model with redistributed polygons, and they'll be better to work with. By mirroring it, I kind of made the character squish a little bit to unsquish it, especially around the head. Selecting the vertices on the head. Let me get a better selection at that. There we go, better selection. I'll just scale it outward.